Hello everyone, I'm Mary Veronica, the country manager for Orissa International for Orissa Indonesia office. Speak about doing business in Indonesia, about the key sector, the economy, and also the road to market. Okay, just to introduce ourselves, we are a market entry consulting firm headquartered in Singapore with office in Southeast Asia. And the service we provided included helping companies find distributor, market research to help collect some market information, or to prepare their market entry strategy. And also we have a lead generation program to sales. And what's unique about us is we've been helping companies more than 20 plus years, done thousands of projects in every sector. So this experience us a unique perspective because we see what good companies are doing when they are internationalized and what mistake not so experienced company are making. This is our office and we have about 30 people and divided into the team, the distributor search, and also the business matching project. And we have many government export agency from North America, Europe, and also Asia who refer their companies to us. This is because we have a strong and long track record of helping companies who their business in Southeast Asia. And also here's a sample of companies that we have had. We have helped companies selling everything, dental equipment, education, environmental, medical, marine, and more. Indonesia. Indonesia is an archipelago country with 5 main islands. Sumatera, Kalimantan, Sulawesi, Java, and also Papua. And each island for business. For Sumatra, there's a plantation and agriculture. Java, manufacturing and services. Kalimantan for agriculture, forestry, mining, fishery and mining, and especially for nickel, development of Morowali Park in central Sulawesi, and Han Holding Group as the anchor industry. And we have a Papua for mining, and it's also home to the biggest gold and copper mine by Freeport Indonesia. For this, I want to highlight the 4 cities that you might want to consider for doing business in Indonesia. First, we have Jakarta here, the current capital of Indonesia, and also the business center in the country. Business will have their office, head office, in Jakarta, and supporting office in other key region across Indonesia. Jakarta major business and services, and then Surabaya over here as a gateway to east of Indonesia, and also most of distribution for east of Indonesia it's come from Surabaya. The key sector in Surabaya are retail, manufacturing, F&B, construction, transport, and also storage. And we have Medan as a city in the Sumatra. This city has a strategic location. As you can see, it's close to Singapore and also to Malaysia. And it's also an international seaport that actually contribute about 20% of the total container export in Indonesia. Some potential and can offer to foreign investors is like manufacturing, retail, food and beverage, warehousing, telecommunication, and also chemical. And lastly, you can consider Makassar in Sulawesi as another city for your target entry. And the opportunities in Makassar come from various sectors such as tourism, trade, and also real estate. The service industry made up more than 80% of Indonesia GDP. And in terms the world average in 2018 was about 24%, and we are reached 35%. So this is show that the country is expected to have a sustained economic growth. And also, we are currently the world's largest Muslim population and the fourth after China, India, and the United States. Because of this COVID pandemic, our GDP growth has been downgraded from 5% to about 2.5%. But World Bank has forecasted that actually our future GDP growth will be returned to normal. And to impact of COVID-19, our government launched stimulus like one easing of import and export, tax discount to companies, personal income tax workers, credit relaxation for SME, Kartu Prakerja or pre-employment card. This is to upskill workers during period of unemployment. And also both federal and regional government distribute direct cash and food to assist the low-income citizen. And to stop this COVID-19 pandemic, Indonesia is implementing what we call PSBB. It is a large-scale social restriction, meaning to limit people movement and only essential business can be open. Why Indonesia? So first, Indonesia has a large population base with a strong domestic demand, especially among other Southeast Asian countries. And from the economic standpoint, government make it really important on the development of infrastructure and human capital and also make it their long-term effort by simplifying regulation. And thirdly, with the growing use of digital technology, this thanks to our digital savvy population, low data costs, and also high penetration of mobile device. In this, there's a sample. We are now currently have a 5 startup unicorn, which is a ride-hailing app like Gojek, online booking platform Traveloka, and also e-commerce platform like Tokopedia and Bukalapak. Okay, in the trade overview, our top import is machinery and top of export is uh, in mineral and fuel. I'm sorry for this. So again, our top Indonesia import is machinery and our top export is mineral fuel, and especially for iron and steel, the imports come in number 5 because there is a high demand to support our infrastructure development. And as you can see from this pie chart, our dominant import source are China, the United States, and also Japan. And I have an interesting insight I would like to share today is actually we are Indonesia, the number two biggest exporter of fake hair in the world. So when I found this information, I also quite surprised. But I think this is just to show that Indonesia has a variety of a different industry, not just focus on typical industry that you would have mind, like agriculture or mining. And we have here we will explain about some of the key sector: infrastructure, manufacture, retail, e-commerce, mining, and health. As you can see here, in infrastructure is the main focus of our government. Between 2020 and 2024, the construction industry is expected to have a compound annual growth rate about 5.59%, with focus on road, bridges, railway track, airport, dam, and also housing construction. And currently, we have 223 national strategic project. And even with this COVID-19 situation, our government plan to continue with additional 89 new project worth about 100 billion US dollar. And also it's expected to employ around 4 million workers every year from 2020 up to 2024. Also, Indonesia, we are very serious in solving public transport issue. For Jakarta, in example, we are expanding the MRT system in the city and also LRT to connect Jakarta with satellite cities. And there's also a project for high-speed train development, which was from Jakarta to Bandung, but now expanding to Surabaya. Another future project is the new capital city, and it's targeted to complete in 2024. And it will be located in Penajam Pasir Utara and Kutai Kertanegara, which is in East Kalimantan province. And the plan is to build a smart and environment-friendly city 4 times size of Jakarta. And all in all, the development of infrastructure bring much opportunity from raw materials such as steel, heavy equipment, machinery, part, technology, and also related product that can support infrastructure building. For manufacturing, our manufacturing represent more than a fifth of the country GDPs, with Java Island as the main destination. And Indonesia has 5 priority industry in manufacturing. The highest is textile, followed by chemical. So for textile and garment industry, the opportunity is to supply in value-added production technique. And in automotive, there is a demand in the area of the new automotive technology and also to support development of the local or regional value chain. And in electronic industry, we are still depend on imported parts and also component. And also for chemical, sorry, we are still heavily dependent on import of raw material to support the expansion for agriculture activities and also industrial production. Indonesia also have national priorities for making Indonesia Industry 4.0 by modernizing technology, upgrading human capital, advancing network, and digital platform. So with this, you can see that Indonesia has a vision to grow for its manufacturing sector and present many opportunity. in this retail and e-commerce. So adopting the smartphone trend, Indonesians are shifting from traditional to online shopping, not only using e-commerce channels, but also social media shopping via Instagram, Facebook, and also WhatsApp. And we have an international e-commerce player here like Shopee and Lazada. To support this e-commerce growth, there is a demand in high-speed connectivity, supporting infrastructure, logistic, up to cybersecurity. For supporting infrastructure, there is a growth, for example, in online payment. And in online payment, we are currently have about 38 e-wallet apps, and the major players are like GoPay, OVO, Dana, and Lingaja. And most of them are supported by local conglomerate and international companies such as Dana, backed by Alibaba. Uh, and also our government encourage the use of online payment to improve the financial access to people who are still unbanked, especially for those who are located in small island or remote villages, but they do have a mobile phone to access the finance app. In the logistic growth, for example, our national airline Garuda Indonesia just launched Kirim Aja. It's an app based for door-to-door courier service. This is to capture the booming demand of e-commerce and also actually to tackle the weakening of passenger demand because of this pandemic season. So this again show that actually the growth in the online shopping plus with the effect of COVID-19 pandemic, it can actually lead to the business opportunity. And to highlight cybersecurity, Tokopedia experienced cyber attacks. Just a sample that they are stole their customer data. So this is exposed cyber risk not only to e-commerce but also other online players in the country. Again, this is like just a wake-up call to the industry. Now I would like to talk about F&B. Indonesia, we are still relies on import for basic food like rice, sugar, wheat, soybean, onion, garlic, and etc. And the popular product here is packaged food, fruit, vegetables, seafood, health food, cooking oil, gourmet food, tea, and coffee. And for example, now the trend is in coffee as part of the urban lifestyle. So we have many local coffee shop in Jakarta and also other cities in Jakarta. And famous brand include the venture capital back like Kopi Kenangan, Janji Jiwa, and also Fori Coffee. So with this trend, we can see there's a strong opportunity in coffee-related equipment and technology. And another growing opportunity is in the halal food, of course, because our majority population are Muslim. For the mining, we have significant reserve in coal, copper, gold, tin, and nickel. And the government introduced a law that obligate miners to explore new reserve every year. So will encourage the opening of new mining territory and ramp up exploration activity. To promote downstream industry expansion, we have also the mining law that states that miners need to integrate their mining with a smelting or processing operation. So these two opening of new mines and also the development of downstream industry, those two will create demand for new mining equipment, technology to increase productivity, and also training to upgrade the worker skill. And healthcare is one of Indonesia priority sector, especially. Sorry, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. So healthcare is Indonesia priority sector, especially the pandemic. It has exposed Indonesia dependency on imported healthcare product. So with the growing of the digital technology, as I mentioned before, plus with the COVID-19 impact, there's actually a strong growth for telehealth. That's why, because people feel scared to go to hospital and feel safe to receive treatment at home, especially in Indonesia. I mean, there's several case that patient who non-COVID, but eventually when go hospital, they get the COVID. So capturing this opportunity, many major hospital have launched their own e-consultant service. So patient, we don't have to go to hospital, but we can consult with a doctor and even get the medicine delivered to home. And beside hospital, other popular startup also want to capture this opportunity. Like for example, Gojek. It is the largest courier service in Indonesia, and they are partners with Halodoc, the largest health teleconsultant service in Indonesia, and launched Gomed, where patients who consult at Halodoc, they can order the medicine from Gomed to be delivered to their doorstep. And also Gojek competitor, which is Grab, offers similar service named Grab Health. And in pharmacy, we have a plenty opportunities. Demand for drug to treat chronic disease or lifestyle related disease such as diabetes, cardio, cardiovascular illness, and also gastric condition. Those will rise with increasing urbanization in Indonesia. And also again, plus with this pandemic or crisis situation, if you think what kind of business that can survive or even grow in this crisis, it's medicine. So capturing this opportunity, even our state-owned oil company like Pertamina, they plan to expand their business into pharmacy. On another sector, there's the development of life science need also raw material, technology, and imported advanced medical and laboratory equipment. Because the life science here is not so advanced. Now, I would like to share some tips on doing business in Indonesia. First, you have to know the regulation well. Sometimes there are overlapping regulation between provincial, federal, and district level, and they always changing. So it is important to do your homework first and seek for local advice. For example, we have a client, a lubricant manufacturer who want to sell their product in Indonesia. But when we told the client that the regulation require them to inform the formula or ingredient to the authority when registering the product. So after we give the information to the client, they decided to not to go to the market because they are worried about informing their formula. Next, it is also important to have a distributor that can cover all over Indonesia. That's why most business usually start in Jakarta first and then expand to Surabaya. So it's like Jakarta can cover the west side of Indonesia and Surabaya for east side of Indonesia. It's best you have distributor that also have branches in other cities in Indonesia. And another important thing is building relationship. Building relationship is very important. I want to stress this because sometimes in Indonesia, this can be a major factor for decision maker. Okay, last but not least, doing business in Indonesia is not really that straightforward. It's not like you can have a go or not to go in the first meeting. It's not obvious if you are going to get a decision right away. And also, you need to be open-minded and flexible to adapt to the market. Sometimes what you think a good strategy in your other market might not work here. As a sample, we have a client in IT. Although we have advised them to work with a partner or distributor, but they insist to enter the market by selling directly to end user, which is the financial institution, because this work in other market. But what happened is when they met the end user, they always ask if they have a partner or distributor in the country because they prefer to work with the distributor. So after got all those response, the client came back to us again and asked for matching up with a potential partner and distributor. And then what happened is when they find a distributor, they get the sales immediately, which make them really surprised. So again, one of the customer reason to choose a product, it's also because of trust. They feel safe if they already know with the supplier and have a close relationship with someone they can rely on if there is any urgent issue or matter to discuss, and can respond faster than contacting someone abroad. So yes, Indonesia can be a challenging country, but the good thing is if you are looking for a long-term gain, yes, we are definitely a rewarding market. So this is my last slide. How can we help your company? We can do market research. We can help you find distributor. And we can also develop lead generation program to help companies who want to grow their sales and build relationship with their customer. So again, thank you very much for joining us in this webinar. I will now pass it on to Mr. Vincent Cellier from InCorp to talk about his section of the presentation. Thank you.
All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Mary, for your presentation. It was very interesting. So now I would like to introduce myself. My name is Vincent Cellier. I'm the consulting manager at InCorp Global Indonesia. So I will discuss first about incorporation, and then my colleague Pandu will discuss a bit more details about taxation, as well as business process outsourcing. All right. So InCorp Global Indonesia is known here as Cekindo locally, and we basically describe ourselves as a one-stop solution for corporate services to investors who want to expand to Indonesia. We offer a wide range of services in that aspect. So it all starts with incorporation, and then we provide all the added value services that are useful for investors who want to set up or expand in Indonesia, right? So it goes with incorporation, service office, business process outsourcing, such as accounting and tax services, immigration, business licenses, and so on. All right, so let's discuss more in details about the different types of legal entities that are available to foreigners who want to set up in Indonesia. The three main entities are the representative office, then we have the foreign shareholding LLC, and finally the local shareholding LLC. So let's start with the representative office. The setup requirements for the representative office are fairly simple, and it's the most simple form of entity to be set up in Indonesia. So the first requirement is you must have an established foreign entity overseas. be able to have a representative office because it represents that foreign. You must have one chief of representative office locally and a local registered address. In the advantage of the representative office is that it does not require any capital to be set up, which makes it very cheap to establish, and it's pretty good for market exploration, to dip your toes into the Indonesian market, maybe do some market research, maybe some marketing activities. However, the main limitation is that as a representative office, you cannot do any commercial activity, so no invoicing, no revenue. Next, we will discuss the foreign shareholder company. So we already have some questions about this, I see, so we can answer some of them now. So for the setup requirement, there's a minimum of 2 shareholders. And then you need minimum one director, one commissioner, and a local registered address. The local registered address can be also a virtual office address. In terms of capital, you need a minimum paid up capital of about $180,000 US. And this comes along with an investment plan of at least $700,000 US over several years. And of course, depending on your activities, you will need different kinds of licenses. For example, fintech companies will need some special licenses related to finance. So the obvious advantage of the foreign shareholder company is that it can allow up to 100% direct foreign shareholding in some sectors. The other advantage is that more and more sectors are open to foreign investment, which is very attractive for expansion. And finally, investors in a foreign shareholder company, so shareholders of in a foreign shareholder company, can get an investor visa, which is very practical for coming in and out and easy to obtain. The limitations are, of course, that some sectors are still closed to foreign ownership, and some sectors are limited to foreign ownership. This means that in those cases, then you will need some local partner to be able to establish your company. And lastly, the capital requirements are also higher than local shareholder companies, which means that it might be also a blocking factor for some businesses or some startups that have a limited budget to get started. As I was answering in the questions before, we can actually see that there are more and more sectors that are open to foreign investment. The last revision to the list of sectors that are open to foreign investment was revised in 2018, and there are also currently talks that more sectors will be open to the public. This list is called the negative investment list, and it is meant to be changed to I think the white investment list. More positive spin to it now, and it will open even more sectors. Now let's talk about the local shareholder company. So this one has a fairly similar setup requirement to the foreign ownership, except for the capital requirement. So the main requirements are you need 2 local shareholders at the minimum, with minimum 1 local director and 1 local commissioner. You also need a local registered. However, for the paid up capital is much lower, only $3,500 to get started. And the licenses also are required depending on the industry. So the advantage is, of course, a lower minimum capital requirements to get started. Also, all sectors are available, all business line, all industries are available for local shareholder. And finally, there are lower reporting requirements as well to the government. However, there are 2 main limitations. The first one is if you want to hire foreign workers in your local shareholder company, you must have a minimum paid up capital of $70,000. And lastly, there can be no direct foreign investment in a local shareholder company. So when we compare the foreign shareholder company and the local shareholder company in terms of foreign ownership, there can be some limitation as well for the foreign shareholder company, where some sectors limited to say 67% only. So for the remaining percentage, or if you open a local shareholder company, then you need to have a local partner, and it has to be a trustworthy local partner. And this is very critical for the safety of your business moving forward. So how can we maximize the safety when facing this situation, right? An answer is to use a company that offers professional shareholder services, such as Cekindo. So in our case here, Cekindo can provide professional shareholders, local shareholders, in the form of a company or an individual, on your behalf. And then we have a set of legal agreements that will bind the foreign investors with a local professional shareholder, so as to maintain 100% control in the hand of the foreign. There's more to it about this, but we're running a bit out of time. So I will now pass on the microphone to Pandu, who will discuss taxation and business process outsourcing. Thank you.
Thank you, Vincent, for your well-elaborated presentation on strategies to enter Indonesian market. So now I will be continuing on the next topic, which is around the taxation in Indonesia, as well as other alternative how to enter Indonesian market through business process outsourcing. So first, we will talk about the corporate tax, what corporate tax that are applied in Indonesia as a company. So as you can see in Indonesia, as like any other companies, tax is one of more crucial issues when you are deciding to enter a market. So basically in Indonesia, the corporate tax is divided into several area, particularly for corporate income tax itself. You can see as a normal or regular company who already surpassed certain of threshold or limitation, the normal rate is flat at 25% out of their profits, annual profits. And then if your company is a public company who is listed in Indonesian exchange, IDX, with over 40% of its shares traded in the IDX, then you have a bit compensation of the tax, a lower compensation of 5% to 20% of the annual profits. And then the two below layer, which is we can say the unqualified company, because this company, the taxable is flat rate out of the revenue compared to the profit from the above type of company. So for any company whose gross turnover is still below 50 billion IDR per year, or 3.5 million USD per year, there is a flat rate 12.5% tax out of their revenue. And then for companies, this is typically startup companies and then newly established companies with a gross turnover of below 4.8 billion IDR or 340,000 US dollar per year, then you get a flat rate 0.5% out of the company revenue every year. And then this is no matter that you are experiencing losing or profit, the tax is flat rate over the revenue. And then in Indonesia, we have also a value added tax or VAT, which is typically the rate is 10%. And then this is similar with the GST that applied in Singapore, for example. And then this is not only applied for goods like import of goods or trading of goods, but this is also applied for the trading of services. Yeah, so if you are selling services in Indonesia, then it is VAT applicable. And then, sorry, the next one is there are several withholding tax that are also applied in Indonesia, particularly for a company. The first slab, which is the payment to tax ID holder, you can see that there are withholding tax that are imposed for any interest that you claim in Indonesia, any dividends, and any royalties that you claim in Indonesia. It is flat rate 15% out of the amount of the interest, dividend, or royalties. And for any kind of service, there is a 2% of withholding tax, Article 23. And then for land and building rental, there is a flat rate 10%. This is applied for any company who already have a tax ID in Indonesia. But if they do not have any tax ID, then they are generally applied with the 20% flat rate, regardless their transaction in Indonesia. Then moving on. Okay, the next one is personal income tax. So this is typically applied or affected for your employees. If you already have employees in Indonesia, then their income or salary in monthly basis is applicable of income tax. Yeah, although the income tax is applied every month, but then the calculation itself is in annual assumption of the salary of the person. So you can see Indonesian tax authority is using bracket or layered system for counting the employee income tax. This is basically based on annual income that they get during a year. So the first layer is from 1 to 50 million rupiah salary or below 3,500 USD. There is a flat rate 5%. And then next layer is between 3,600 USD until 17,800 USD is 15%. And then the next layer is 251 million to 500 million IDR or USD 17,800 until 36,000 USD is 25%. And then the last layer is above 500 million IDR per year or above 36,000 US dollar per year is 30%. But the figure here, the calculation is also being calculated in layered basis. So it does not mean if your salary classified as the last layer, which is above 500 million per year, it does not mean that all 500 million of your salary will be directly cut by 30%. The calculation will be layer by layer. Yeah. So the part of your salary, which is 1 to 50 million, will be taxed 5%. Part of your salary, 51 to 250 million, is 15%, and so on and so on. Yeah. Okay. Next one. So in terms of accounting and tax reporting or in Indonesia can be quite a headache for a new company, typically for a new investors, because usually investor who setting up their company in Indonesia doesn't have sufficient knowledge on how to maintain bookkeeping or also maintaining the tax reporting in Indonesia. So this is where InCorp Indonesia comes to help, where we can actually provide an outsourcing service for you, so you can maintain your bookkeeping, annual bookkeeping, monthly bookkeeping, as well as maintaining tax reporting for any companies in Indonesia, so that these companies can actually have more focus on doing their core business in Indonesia, and then just focus on getting the revenue and then expanding their business in Indonesia. So this is typically very, very popular option for investor. They typically outsource this type of paperwork to other companies, such as a consulting company like us, so that they can focus on their main business. So we, as a consulting firm, we provide a high quality service, and then we have an experienced accounting staff as well as tax specialists who also already, some of them accredited with the government, with the tax brevet. And then we provide a complete package. As Vincent mentioned earlier, we are a one-stop service company. So we can bundling all kind of service into one service. And then, of course, as I mentioned, this will be a time and cost saving for your business in Indonesia, which is very advantageous. Then next, we will talk about the BPO, which is actually, this is an alternative on how to enter Indonesian market without having to establish an entity in Indonesia, because that is actually possible. And then this is the way. So beside of accounting and tax reporting, Cekindo as a consulting firm is also assisting our clients to maintain their payroll for their employees in monthly basis and then annual basis. So we can calculate their monthly payroll and all kind of tax computation social security report, all deduction, and then they just can sit and relax and then focus on what really matters on their business, and then we can really take care of this stuff. And then move from the payroll. Payroll is actually provided to a client who already have entity in Indonesia. Now the question is, how about client who doesn't have entity in Indonesia, but they still want to do some market exploration, for example, in Indonesia? Then they can choose to opt for a EOR, or employer of record, or we call it HR outsourcing in this case. In this way, they can actually put someone or recruit local person in Indonesia, or even a foreign employee in Indonesia to do some work. For example, opening a market, or taking off market visibilities for you, and then we will maintain their employment, including the maintaining the monthly salary for them. If they are a foreigner, then we can also sponsor their work permit in Indonesia under our company. So this is very advantageous. If you think that you are not really ready to enter Indonesia as an entity yet, but you're still interested to explore the market, then this will be the best option for you. Yeah, and then we can also support you in recruitment if you don't have any channel to recruit certain people for certain job, then we can fully support you on this. Okay, pretty much that's all from me, from my side. So thank you very much for your attention. Now, right now we will start the Q&A session, and then everyone can join now again. So we will also try to answer several questions that already been submitted through the platform. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Pandu, for your presentation. Let's maybe you could turn on your camera as well, so you can join us on the stage.
Yep.
I will start answering some questions. So the first one I'd like to answer is a question by Christina regarding halal certification for the purpose of importing some food supplements, oral food supplements. So yes, indeed, in regards to the Indonesian FDA, which is called the BPOM here, you would need to register those food supplements with the BPOM here in Indonesia. Halal certification is not strictly required, simply because we have a majority Muslim population, but also many non-Muslim. However, it is highly recommended that you also obtain halal certification, just so that you can expand your market. In regards to the halal certification, the process takes about 3 to 6 months, and in terms of price, it's difficult to give a fixed price, because it depends a little bit on the products and so on. It is a bit easier as well if you already have halal certification in the country where you're producing the products. It's possible to transfer it. And in terms of fee, our fee here for halal certification starts at $6,000. But once again, it depends on the type of product and the details. So we can discuss this if you're interested to explore this further. It is good to note as well that we have currently very recently some changes in the halal certification process in Indonesia. It means that some aspects are still being ironed out at the moment. So while those aspects are being ironed out, it means the requirements are slightly easier. So now is a good time actually to do it, because then it enables us to get this halal certification done faster. Okay, moving on to the next question. I think this one will be for Mary. This is a question from Mr. Dupree. I understand there is a focus on foreign investment in the marine infrastructure, but it was not mentioned in the presentation. Is this true? Mary? Mary, we cannot hear you. You're muted.
Okay, sorry. So yes,
Okay.
of course, our government again is very encouraging in development and infrastructure, including for marine, and especially for this, we have join with the most of them is like Japanese company like Ocean Construction, Toa Corporation, Rinkai Nissan Construction, partnering with local contractor company like Wijaya Karya to build a port mostly in Java and Subang area. So again, of course, there's a foreign investment in this sector. Thank you, Vincent.
Okay, sounds good. Next question will be for Pandu in regards to healthcare. Where is the lost it? So how long does can a hospital be 100% foreign owned in Indonesia? And then in the same vein, there was another question in regards to what are the rules for foreigners who want to be doctors?
Foreign workers as a doctor?
As well as foreign ownership for hospital and healthcare.
Okay. So for hospital, it depends on the basically based on latest Indonesian investment negative list in 2016. It is there are several layers of hospital. There are type A, B, and C of hospital, and then each have different layer of percentages of how foreign investment can go with this option. For example, for a large hospital or type A hospital, it is possible for 100%. But then other class, which is for example B class or C class, even there are lower foreign ownership. Even for type C is totally closed for foreign ownership. And then other than hospital, then there are clinics as well, which is also divided within general clinics, skincare clinics, etc. Usually the clinics is the latest is around 51% for maximum foreign ownership for beauty clinic. Yeah. And then for doctors, as foreign I'm concerned, there is very few foreign doctors who is operating in Indonesia, because first there is possible foreign doctor to operate in Indonesia if they have Indonesian license. So first they need to get a work permit from sponsored by hospital, and then also they need to be certified from the Indonesian Doctor Association or ED, and also get some certification from Ministry of Health. Yeah, I think that's all for the question.
Okay, thank you very much. I have another question here, so this will be for Mary as well. Okay, so Mary, let's talk about how big is the electronic market in Indonesia, and mostly where is it located?
Okay, so it's quite big. We have several manufacturing here for electronics equipment, and also some of OEM for the electronic part. So most is located in cities near of Jakarta, like Cikarang, Cibitung, Kerawang, Tangerang, and also others is located in Batam.
Okay, thank you very much. So for next question, I will answer this. Okay, so this is from Mr. Olivier Guerrero. The minimum capital for new foreign companies seems high. Is there a way to do the investment in various phases? Okay, so you have two components, right? You have the minimum capital investment, and then you have the full investment plan of 10,800,000 US dollars. So the investment plan actually has no limit, no time limit. It needs to be updated regularly to the investment board. Because of course, the government understands that there can be ups and downs in the business, so the investment might accelerate or slow down depending on the success of the business. In terms of the minimum capital required, it is possible to do it in a few phases. It's possible to break it down a little bit to get started. All right, next question will be for Mr. Pandu. This is about, where is it? Oh, yes. It's about terminating local employees. So this is from Mrs. Chun Sang Lim. I understand that you are unable to terminate your local staff, but induce them to resign. Is this still true?
Well, thank you for the question. Well, actually that's not entirely true. So the part of where the statement says you cannot terminate your employee is not true at all. You can actually terminate your employee, but of course with some condition, for example, and then it will be fully depend on the type of contract the employee signed in the beginning, whether it's a contract or fixed term base or it is a permanent base contract. If it's a permanent based contract, which is like a permanent employment, then the termination process will follow the regulation of Ministry of Manpower. For example, for any employee already surpassed 1 year period of working, then they are eligible to get a termination fee. For example, 1 month extra salary during the termination. So they get the last month salary plus 1 month extra, and then this compensation is growing as the employee is also growing in the company. So the more the longer employee work in the company, then the higher the compensation you need to provide to them in case you will terminate them in the future. Regarding the fixed term employee, so for example, fixed term is 1 year contract or 12 months contract, and then in the middle of contract, for example, in the middle of the year or the 6 month of the year, you decided to terminate the employee, then you have to pay the remaining 6 months salary that should be paid based on the contract. Yeah. But then again, this is what the ideal situation should look like. But then in practice, this is typically depend on the agreement that employment agreement that is signed between the company and the employee at the beginning of the employment. So please make sure that the clauses are acceptable from both sides, and then that both sides is understand what is their obligation and what is their rights, etc. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. So the next question will be for Mary. So this is from Mathilde. So thank you for your presentation. I'd like to ask if there are any niche markets in Indonesia for SMEs in relation to consumption besides the main sectors presented. Mary?
Yes, hello. So actually, niche market Indonesia for SME for the consumption. Actually, our SME here, the market is growing. So it's like, for example, for consumption like a food. More and more, there's the SME create creative food. Frozen food, I mean, in all different type of shape, and also in line they also with the trend probably now like a Korean food, or also who's also the trend here. And also SME here again the growing not only for food, but also the consumption in retails and other sectors. So I think that's Vincent.
Okay, thank you very much. Next question. Do we still have time? Actually, no. It's already the end here. So we will answer the rest of the questions individually, and then we will send some answers to those questions by email to all the participants. So they will all be answered. Don't worry about this. And so, okay, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Mary, and thank you, Pandu, for participating in this webinar.
Thank you,
Next
Vincent.
next week,
My
we
pleasure.
will have the next episodes in the InCorp webinar series with Hong Kong, Vietnam, Singapore. So see you next week for those who will attend.
Thank you, everyone. Bye. Have a good weekend ahead.
Thank you.